Well, it's a very difficult question for one simple reason, is that today the Atlantic remains important because of the countries which border it on both sides. But it is quite obvious that the greatest security challenges in the world today lie on the frontiers of Europe and in Asia, because by and large Latin America is at peace. Africa has some internal conflicts, but they don't seem to spill over into the Atlantic. If anywhere, they spill over in the forms of immigration into North Africa and Europe. And the United States, which has been the major power for the last 50, 60 years, continues playing a major role, but today it has to talk much more frequently to China, to India and to Russia. And therefore the question of the Atlantic space in itself is a very difficult one to define in terms of security threats. I find it a very challenging concept because we are speaking of a very vast area. We are speaking of an area with the North Atlantic, the South Atlantic. Obviously the North Atlantic is vital because of the links between the United States and Europe, the United States and the Middle East. Until very recently they were very important because the United States was a major importer of Middle Eastern oil, but America is more and more self-sufficient in oil. So that link with the Middle East could well weaken in the years to come. The other problem about the Atlantic is that simply Europe is finding it very difficult to define its own role in the world. The question as to whether Europe really has a foreign policy is a very good one. And insofar as a region of 500 million people finds it difficult to define its strategic interest and its foreign policy, that poses many questions about the Atlantic. So yes, it is important, but how important and why is it important, I think is a question which will be debated for many years to come and which is very difficult to forecast.